Hey guys, welcome back to Cage Side Press. This is Gabriel Gonzalez, and I'm here with Jared Vanderaa, the heavyweight competing at Dana White's Contender Series on September 22nd. Jared, first off, we already know each other. You have competed for Smash Global, which I've also been a part of. We last saw you in December. Since then, there's been a whole thing, called the apocalypse and this thing called COVID. Have you been doing okay, man?
Yeah, I've been busy. I've actually been. I wish I was quarantined. I mean, I'm quarantined. I'm busy as all hell, and I'm not making any money. So nothing in my life has changed. I'm usually training. I've During this quarantine time, I decided to make the smart business decision of opening my own gym.
Oh.
Yeah, genius move on my part. No one else is doing it. Everyone's shutting down. I'm like, you know what? This is a great time. The market's clear to open up a gym. Yeah, smartest business decision I've made yet. And yeah, it's
I,
kind of what I'm
I
doing
mean,
right now.
I mean, with that, do you at least have your own space that if you do bring in a guy or two after hours to work mitts, is it just more convenient for you than getting out to to your main gym where you train with all the guys usually?
Not really, because I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, we have a lot of people in the middle of nowhere, but we live in the middle of nowhere.
Gotcha, gotcha, I understand. Well, Jared, let's go back because a lot of people are about to learn about you, so I want them to hear it from us first. You were a wrestler, but how did you get involved in mixed martial arts the first time?
So I was wrestling, and after my senior year, I dislocated my shoulder right at the end. And I was just like, dude, I've been training for this. I don't want to go to waste. I had some weird offers for scholarships and stuff that I kind of didn't bounce on due to I fell in love with my girlfriend at the time, and I. But before that, right after wrestling season, I was just like, yeah, you know what? Let me try this MMA stuff out before I get into college and whatnot. And I immediately jumped in, kicking people, and yeah, I was like, the coach at the time was like, hey, you look at these two guys right here, and at the time it was Corey Grant and Mike Palo, who were both like wrestlers. Corey Grant was like an NCAA finalist for Michigan, so I mean, good wrestler. He looked at him, looked me dead in the eyes, and he goes, "Those two fuckers can't kick. You wrestle, you're gonna learn how to fucking kick." So I feel like we know that I can kick now.
Well, I mean, it looks like it's worked out for you. So were you a fan of mixed martial arts? Like, okay, you were wrestling, but were you watching stuff like UFC on TV at the time, or was it not until you started training that you started watching it?
I watch it about the same. I would watch certain fights, certain fighters. I just I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of watching because like I'm always like, you could do this, don't do that, stop being so put your hands up. Don't block with your face. Check a damn kick. Things like that happen all the damn time. And I like it kind of takes me out of it from enjoying watching fights. Um, and then it's even gotten worse being a coach. I was like, I do watch the heavyweight division, obvious reasons. Gotta see who my opponents are. I do always have like my fandom of like your classic fighters like Orlowski, JDS, and stuff like that. Uh, so it's always good to see kind of them, and then I also kind of look at the light heavyweight division because there was a point in time I was a light heavyweight. So outside of those two weight classes, I don't really pay attention to unless it's someone I personally know. I've met a few times, type of thing. Like I used to work out a little bit with Chito Vera and his conditioning coach Corey Belisis. Phenomenal dude, great guy. Um, I met Chito there. Chito's awesome. So when he fought
O'Malley.
Mally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care for him, to be honest with you. When he fought Mally, I was like, Cheeto all the way. What was it like? I hyped him up maybe a little too much, but he won in the best way possible. So I was like, yeah, talked a lot of this shit, and he backed it up for me. So I was happy to see that Cheeto did very well.
I mean, hey, taking home the bragging rights is what's most important, right? At the end of the
Yeah,
day, exactly.
yeah,
Um,
no.
uh, Talk to me about how did you get involved with Team Quest and Dan Henderson in that crew? Was that always the gym you were at, or did you find them later on?
Both. All right, so the gym I originally came to was Primetime, which was hosted by several members of Team Quest. And then there was a falling out between those groups. I stayed with the Primetime, and then I went to the Team Quest San Seno. Then eventually I moved to Las Vegas, tried that scene out for a while. Then came back, jumped around a few gyms, just trying things out. I felt like my jiu-jitsu was subpar. And then I finally just went back to Corey of Team Quest. I'm like, let's just do this. I started teaching there. And then he was like, dude, you can't be training here. You're better than this. I need you to go to the other gym, and I want you to grow. And so I started just going to Dan's from there. So I've always been more or less here where I'm at now, for the most part. Then I've moved on to the other ones.
As a bit of a fun tidbit, like, do you get any straight like advice from Dan Henderson? Like, is he around? You know, he's the OG. Is he out there mentoring, or is he more hands off at the gym?
If he's not breathing out of his oxygen tank or rolling up in his wheelchair, he just no, I'm just playing. He actually does pop in a lot more lately. He does help. He's still like his wrestling. I feel like I always outstrike him. Then I'm like, hey, let's have this bright idea and take him down. It's never worked out well for me. I always get thrown somehow, some way. As like change levels, I get thrown. Oh, is it set up my shot? Get thrown. I'm just like, how do you? I mean, I get that he's a Greco-Roman Olympian, but still, I'm tired of getting thrown every time I shoot. I believe it's a height difference. Like he's like 4'2", and I'm like 6'4". That's a lot. That's a long drop for a shot. And Dan's part brick, so it just does not work out well.
Would you say he's still got it? Like, I know he's not about to go out there and fight Izzy and them, but would you say Dan Henderson, like, he's still hitting hard? He could still, compete
Oh
with
yeah.
some guys?
So he's always been a dense human being. So every time he hit people, it was just stupid. Now he has old man strength, so it just adds on to the density. I'm just like, oh, you got older. Now you hit harder. Like the fuck.
Oh, I can imagine how frustrating that must be, man. So fun stuff aside, you have helped quite a few guys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you trained a bit with Dominick Reyes before the John Jones fight. Did I see that correct a few months ago?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that fight went really well for him. Not the call, but that is what it is. And now
Yeah.
he's fighting for the title. I mean, is that a guy that you train with a lot, or is it something just the wrestling? How did that come together?
He comes in on certain days to get some work in. Uh, like for the John Jones fight, he came in certain days. Uh, I don't emulate John Jones, but I would definitely say John Jones was like one of the first guys I looked up to uh, in the sport. So, and I have monkey arms just like him. We have stupidly long reach. So I think that was why Dom was very comfortable with his distance, was because I've been hitting him with the same distance. Give or take, I think he's a little longer than me, but the distance wasn't like, oh my God, he's so long. Now, I don't have John Jones's legs. I don't have long legs. I have short, stocky legs. So, I mean, that's where I failed him. But I mean, Dom did all the hard work himself. I mean, yeah, you gave him the best look I can, but he's the one that decided to go punch him in the face a few times, and it led him to another opportunity against Jan Blazkowicz, right?
Hmm.
I said his
Yeah,
last name.
I mean,
Uh,
probably, but we get it.
yeah. So I mean, I'm excited for this fight. I've helped him a little bit. it's literally the same week I have my fight. So,
Mm.
I mean, I like Jan. I was, I was watching him do his thing against, was it Corey Anderson? No.
Yep.
Yeah, Corey Anderson. So, I mean, it's like I wasn't a big fan yet. So, luckily, I'm be like, yeah, go kick ass, Dom. And I won't have that moral dilemma of like, I like him though. I mean, it was a little bit easier with the Jones fight because Jones kind of just runs his mouth and shot himself in the foot, and I became less of a fan because of that. But when he fought Weidman, I was like, I like him though.
I hear you. I hear you. And look, so you've obviously around Dan Henderson, guys like Dominick Reyes, and I know a bunch of UFC guys definitely have gone through Team Quest. Now, as you're in this fight, have guys just been giving you that advice, kind of prepping you, so to speak, for the octagon and everything else that comes with it?
Nope. They're like, nah,
You'll
train
be
harder.
fine.
No, they're, what is it? I work out with a bunch of assholes. They're like, oh, just punch him in the face. You'll be fine. I'm like, I don't know if you know this about me. I don't punch hard. I was like, oh, I'm like, really? I'm like, I've only knocked out one person. I've finished 8 other fights, one way or another, but knocking one person out of 30 plus fights, amateur and pro, I'm not known for knocking people out with my fist.
I mean,
I'm
you.
like, I accepted that.
I mean, you've done a pretty good job for yourself, Jared. Don't sell yourself short now. I hear
I'm
you.
I'm it's just I'm not Francis. I'm perfectly fine with not being Francis.
I hear you. You know what? I think a lot of fans are gonna find one. We love your sense of humor, but you have quite the juxtaposition because you're a MMA heavyweight. You're out there wrestling dudes, taking them down, doing damage, and then at home you've got quite the interesting hobby. I know that you're a big fan of building Gundams, man.
Oh
How
yeah,
did
I'm a giant nerd.
how did you get into that? Was it the TV show first or building them first?
Oh, definitely a TV show. I've been watching anime since I was a kid, like 3, 4. I remember watching it when I was around 3 or 4. Like, I mean, young when, like, I mean, I'm happy that anime has kind of gotten a little bit more mainstream, but like, I do hate hearing these like hipsters like, oh, I've been a fan since Bleach, Naruto. I'm like, oh, how cute. I've been a fan since like Sailor Moon and Gundam Wing. I'm like Dragon Ball, like the OG stuff. I mean, it doesn't give you any more points because you liked it more. But yeah, no, I'm a giant nerd. Outside of being a nerd, I'm also giant to the cult. I'm basically gothic without all the makeup all the time. Like I'll put it on every now and then, but not like a lot.
I hear you.
Is it?
I was gonna ask with the figurines, like, do you have like just a bunch of them around the house? About how many would you say you've got built?
I want to say close to like 8 to 10.
Okay, okay. So still growing, still growing. A lot of time. A
Yeah,
couple.
like another like 8 that I haven't opened yet.
All right, all right.
I must be a masochist. Okay, I know I am, but I'm a masochist. So I I decided let me get the really hard ones with the really small pieces with my jalopy sized hands. Okay, my hands are massive, and I'm playing with these little dainty little toys. I'm just like here, that goes here. It's like fuck, my hands are too big.
Hey man, look, they're fun. I mean, if you got the patience to go through them, I remember. I think I ever only tried one, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that. It's not for me. But so I respect that you're down for your cause for sure. Let's talk a little bit of business though. Oscar Cota, he's going out there to try to be the guy. What does he bring to the table that you got to watch out for?
A chin. Like I feel like I could bring a brick to this fight, beat him over the head with it several times, and he still stands. Um, he has that. He reminds me of the. He kind of reminds me of Andy Ruiz. Just that Mexican style of boxing. You know, like Pacquiao, freaking. Not no. Oh my god.
Marquez.
What's the other one? Canelo. Yeah.
Canelo.
Oh, Chavez. Just that grindy, gritty style where they keep their head down, they beat you up for a good hour and a half, and they bring tons of volume, high pace, and just go. So, I mean, he has that mindset, but in MMA. So, kicking, wrestling, grappling, and all that stuff instead of just a bunch of punches.
We know what Contender Series means to a ton of people. I mean, can you say for yourself, Dana White goes back there and he says, we're going to give Jared Vanderaa a UFC contract. What would that mean to you?
I'll be like, oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm such a pessimist, though. I'm like I have to like realize that I'm in this situation. Like I said, I'm a pessimist, so I'm thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna lose, or if I win, it's gonna be a bad performance. It's not gonna be what he wants. Like everyone's like, oh, you're good, you're good. And it's like I'm glad to hear the positivity, but I do not survive off of it. I thrive more on negative reinforcement. So I mean, it's just bitter, it's evil, like mixed emotions all the time. So that's where I'm at.
You don't think that would change if, one night you just seem to discover that Francis Ngannou power and you put him down 20 seconds in, you might just 180. You don't think that would happen?
No. No, like even if I knock him out, my first thought's like, you know what? People don't like me. I'm too much of an asshole. It's like I say, I'm like, I'm not market. I doubt myself so much in those kind of things that it's just like, I mean, like it's hard for me to think that they're going to take me like when they couldn't take my boy Jamal. And it's like Jamal went in last year, beat the living brakes off this dude for all 3 rounds, and they're like, oh, you're too young. I'm like, he beats me up. I feel like he beats up Dom because they're training partners. I'm like, he good. He ready to go beat it in the UFC. So I mean, hopefully he gets his another shot, another chance, which I know he will. Dude's young, strong, and he good.
Well,
But I see him not get it, so I'm like, why do I think I'm going to get it?
Well, Jared, let me just say this, man. Working with you for an event, and it was very awesome to see you get crowned Smash Global Champion. That was a lot of fun. Just seeing the progression, with the company, and you're a great guy. So because you love negative reinforcement, I hope you have a horrible performance. I hope you just sit there and clinch and maybe take them down. Don't do anything with it. Ref gets impatient with you. I hope you get all those things because I like you so much. I
All
hope,
right.
and that gets you your UFC contract. If that helps you, I want to do my part for you, Jared. Does that help you?
I'll stay in guard, and I'll stay in guard hard. Like you won't be ready for that guard game.
Jared, best of luck once again. September 22nd, Dana White's Contender Series against Oscar Cota. Can't wait for it, man. Thank you for the time.